Hi everybody, Erin here. You can see there's definitely some spots on my ceiling, and those are just the reflection of my makeup palettes over here. I do have a handheld mirror I'm going to be using alternately. And I have with me two more colorful palettes. I have the Jeffree Star Blue Blood, which I really haven't used too much. And I have some different foundations, and I'm going to try my best to walk through what I'm using, how I'm using it, and why I'm using it. And if you have any questions as we go along, I will do my best to answer them. So I'm going to start by putting my hairband on. To try my best to keep my makeup out of my hair. It is really difficult, especially because I have so many strands that are so short right now. But that's what happens when you're growing out a pixie cut. So I'm going to start today by using, let's see, I have a Neutrogena shade that I use primarily as primer. I almost never use this as itself because it's got such a high, moisturizing hyaluronic acid factor. So it does moisturize, it does plump up a little bit, but it doesn't have a huge, it's mostly like a skin tint. It's not like a foundation. So I also have a couple different shades of the NYX highlighter that I'm going to primarily be using a mix between light and pale. So that's these two shades here. And I can do some swatches. Actually, let me get a little bit of swatches going on just so that you can see what's going on, how it's going on. So I'll have so the shades again are True Beige, which is the palest. So I have, you know what, I'm sorry, these are a little bit mixed up. So this one, the first one is pale, just straight pale. What happened was I mixed up the caps because, again, they're all the same cartridges, but the palest one is pale. This one is called Light, so I'm going to do that. This one is True Beige. Right now I'm just going by the back of the bottle so that I don't. And then, yeah, this one is Classic Tan. And obviously this one the darkest one I use primarily for contouring, eyelid definition, and things like that. So they aren't the prettiest swatches, but you can see those are the different shades. So Light, True Beige, so yeah, sorry, one more time. This is Pale. So this bottle, the next palest is just called Light. Next one is True Beige. And Classic Tan is the final, the darkest one. And the ones I'm going to be using for both the Neutrogena bottle actually has, if you're not familiar, it has like its own little doe foot sort of applicator. So this is the Neutrogena. This one is called Classic Ivory. It's a little bit more warm. than my tone, but like I said, I kind of mix a bunch of stuff together, and I have, this is a concealer. It's the littlest bit dark for me, but I still like to use it. I don't technically use it as like concealer, but I do use it pretty frequently for depth and dimension. So this one, some of the packaging is kind of worn off, but I think that this is sand beige. And then it's got CW 4.5. So this is the concealer consistency. So that's what I was going to show you. I have my concealer right now. Technically, again, this is concealer consistency, but not something I use as concealer. My plan right now is to do the lightest goes under eye, to do like triangles. I'm going to do use the tan shade and the concealer here to kind of carve out the face shape and do some definition. So I'm actually going to wipe these off. I'm sure I'm going to get more makeup on me. I just don't want to start out quite that way. So off to the races. So the NYX I got from Kohl's, I believe. I'm going to kind of like set things aside, like they're out of frame right now, but then I'll just sort of do a recap to show you what I've used and how I've used it towards the end. So this is the Hydro Boost. Kind of just going to go right in with that. I do have a beauty blender that I'll be using in just a second once I have some more product applied to the face. I start out using its applicator for this bottle because this particular bottle shape doesn't really allow for like dumping it out. It doesn't have a pump. It's sort of like this is the only way to do it. So I'm just going to kind of put them out of frame right this minute. And then, like I said, I'll show you them towards the end, at least towards the end of the face portion. So I'm realizing it's been a while since I've streamed anything that's truly makeup oriented, or I should say exclusively makeup oriented. And I really just want to kind of get back into getting my feet wet here. So I'm going to start with putting the light right where I want it. So I do have a couple stories that I've never told that are makeup oriented, and I really kind of want to walk through those because I think that they are hopefully relatable content to some of my viewers. So I will be putting, this is the light shade again, it's on, and I'm going to be blending everything kind of at once with the lighter shades. So that's my highlighted areas. Kind of do like a T down the nose. So I've always worn what a lot of people would consider a lot of makeup. It's just not something I've ever really thought about until recent years. And I know I've mentioned quite a few times now in various videos that like my mom was definitely a makeup person. She would spend like loads and loads of time both in the morning and at nighttime at her vanity. And again, not that that's a bad thing, but I think that that was just something that I picked up on at such a young age. I was like, oh, this is what people do. So I, for a little while, did consider like makeup and like fashion and stuff was going to be what I was going to go into. There was a period of my life where I was kind of hell-bent, if you want to pick something. Pick like a descriptor, I would say that that was like I was so totally set in stone that I was going to become that, and that was really like a big part of my life. I used to get catalogs from some of the makeup academies in New York because they had like these really specific artistry programs that I thought were really phenomenal. I really thought that I was going to be going into either traditional, regular, more like makeup artist, traditionally what you think of as a makeup artist, or I thought for a period of time that I would be going into special effects. Those are both things that I've had a lot of respect for my whole life. I really loved doing my own makeup. I also have I grew up loving movies, loving TV shows, and I think that that really opened up the respect for not only the actors and actresses who I was watching, but also like the support team of like the directors, editors, producers, and obviously makeup artists are a huge, huge part of what the final result is in a lot of cases. So I would say primarily my everyday makeup is more closely akin to like some of the videos I've done on here are like Lucille Ball inspired, Marilyn Monroe inspired, and things like that. I also really love like, again, these are heavier looks, but I really like a lot of the more gothic makeup. So extreme pale, and then the dark carved out pops of color with the graphic eyeliner. Sorry, I just have my iced coffee to wet my whistle. So it was really just like this fundamental thing that I grew up loving and appreciating for various reasons. And I think that it took me a while even to get to that point because I always just assumed like, oh, this is what people do. Because again, it was just kind of like me and my mom at home. So I would not really have like another reference point, but I knew like my mom wore a lot of makeup, my sister wore a lot of makeup, and like some of the people that again, just because it was me and her, I would watch people on TV do. Obviously TV makeup is like a whole nother ball game. But I definitely had this huge appreciation for that sort of fanned those flames. And in recent years, I would say that I almost am positive that I never wore more makeup than when I was in retail, because I think as somebody who was commissioned at certain points, like you learn like people won't take you seriously unless you're dressed a certain way. And I've heard people on various channels, like on TikTok. I'm on a couple like hairdresser channels. So like Teresa and Siri Parks. I can't remember Teresa's last name right now, but they're kind of gaining traction for like their hairdresser nightmare style videos, and how like just really comments that I remember hearing myself or hearing something similar to. And honestly, like watching their videos, hearing other people have said that to them has really, it's kind of good because it kind of like shows that you're not alone, but it shows that you also have like the worst possible thing in common, because sometimes people who are going around in public don't really know, they're not always the most careful in how they talk to how people are, like service providers, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So this shows up when in like her examples of like people showing up for their hair appointment and they say things like, "Oh, you're not going to make me look like you, right?" Or like, you know, really things that are thoughtless and kind of crass. And they're off the cuff, and that person might be just like, that might be how they talk to their family, how they talk to other people, and they don't always realize that that's wrong. So, and unfortunately, it's stuff that person isn't going to think about, but it is stuff that like will leave a dig on you as the time passes. Like that's something that you're going to be like, oh, like unfortunately, as human beings, we tend to remember the more negative comments than positive. And wish it wasn't that way, but it does seem to be the case across the board. So I'm going to actually go in one more time here. So this is going to be above the contour itself, and that's going to sort of bridge. It's going to create just the littlest bit of division between the contour and the highlight. So and I'm just going to come right on either side here. Because like I said, it's going to be, once you put the pressed powder on, it's really going to lock everything in place. And if that's not something, you know, if you are somebody who does wear a lot of makeup, then you know that some of this is just going to be like super self-evident for you, but I'm just kind of trying to explain for people who are interested. So what the process is, what I tend to do is kind of map everything out in foundation, and then I'll do powder over it, so that way you're contouring twice. This is something I learned from the Scott Barnes series that Tati did a while ago. So what you want to do is you're basically going in multiple times. If you have the time to do it today, obviously I'm not in a huge rush to go anywhere. So I'm going to take my time with you guys. Like I said, if you have anything you'd like to type into chat, any comments on whether it's how you do your own makeup or something fashion oriented, or just to comment in general about my videos that I've posted recently, I'm super happy to go in and over those. So what I really enjoy about Scott Barnes, and obviously I'm sorry, I keep saying my hook word is obviously. I unfortunately have seen, in going back and watching my old videos, I see myself saying sincerely, severely, honestly, obviously, unfortunately, and unfortunately. Those are just habit forming things that I am working my best to find alternate words for. I think that is part of me. Sometimes I find myself speeding, like talking faster than my tongue can accommodate for. So I'm trying to get better at editing those things and providing more quality content this year. I have had a huge uptick in followers and viewers, so thank you so much for that. I've mentioned on my last video, I'm working my best to try and get some crossover, because what I currently am running into is I have over 3,000 Instagram followers. I have over 800, like, I don't know if I'm at 900 yet, but I'm over 800 TikTok followers. And I'm trying to just redirect everybody to my YouTube, because I'm trying to, if I can, try to balance out things that, I can let them know I have one if they don't know. And like I said, I'm working to provide more like cosplay content. It's not something I can do a ton of right now. I'm hoping I can in the near future, because I do have some projects I'm working on right now. I have been doing my best to promote all of my current work projects. And I can talk a little bit about those if you're not aware. If you happen to be interested at all, I do have a small business that I run myself, where I'm basically an independent contractor. I do Reiki and tarot, and I also have my yoga instructor certification. And through ISSA, I have their nutritionalist program, my CPR, and I have their yoga program, and I have an online coaching certificate through them. So I do carry my own insurance for all those things. And I also, the studio I work out of currently, I have sort of absorbed the social media management aspects of those. So I'm creating graphics for myself and for her. She's a massage therapist who also does Reiki, so we're working together on advertising our current Valentine's Day specials as we transition through to, can't believe it's already the end of January. So I've been creating a lot of her graphics, creating a lot of mine. So my graphics are for my Twitch stream, my YouTube life. So my thumbnails, which are the first screen that you click on for any video. And then, so I create a lot of her flyers. I also create the graphics for my podcast, which is Technicolor Kaleidoscope Oratory. So that's my poetry-centric podcast, where I have a bunch of different authors in one sort of show space. And yeah, I think, I do some other smaller projects. I'm almost always have a webcam in front of me. I'm working on integrating. There's this new app called SofaDog, and it's so.fa.dog. I just downloaded that, and I'm exploring. It seems to be sort of similar to Patreon, which I do have for the podcast. And what they do is operates on a system sort of similar to Reddit coins. So you do a subscription either by the month or you can do individual tipping. And I'm really just starting to explore that. I have 2 videos up there. And also constantly creating new things for TikTok. And I do have a new part-time job that is, a real job that I'm sort of acclimating to. So I have a new video actually is exporting right this minute, where I explore some of my thoughts about, like I said, a little bit is on Valentine's Day, sort of what I have sort of a strong opinion on Valentine's Day. I think it's a lot like Black Friday, and it's sort of like such a consumerism for the sake of consumerism holiday. I know that there's not everybody thinks of it that way. I think that if you do have something more meaningful to you, where like you are, if like Valentine's Day is your anniversary or something like that is wonderful, or if it's your, something specifically to you, if Valentine's Day was your first date with somebody, and that's something you want to celebrate, that's terrific. But part of what I talk about in that video is like, similar to Christmas, it's like you run into people giving like these generic gifts that maybe the person in front of them hasn't asked for, doesn't have an interest in, and it's sort of like, I'm not saying that this is what everybody does. I think that there is a lot of opportunities to make sure you're getting, you're not wasting your money, that you're getting something that somebody truly appreciates. But I think that the focus on Valentine's Day is like, how much stuff can you purchase for me? What is your quantifiable, like, how much you love me is basically quantified in exactly what you can purchase for me, or how good of a dinner reservation you can get. Like, that's just not practical for a lot of people. And especially during the pandemic, people have like all kinds of things that they're dealing with job insecurity, or money needing to go elsewhere. And in a time where, like right now during the pandemic, regardless of how money secure you are, like there's people are dealing with food insecurities, or just sort of the total uncertainty that we're facing. I think that the last thing on anybody's mind should be, go buy me the biggest box of chocolates, or, why didn't you buy me the fanciest whatever. So here's the difference if you want to just take a minute to see. This is the first walkthrough with just pencil, and right now for my eyebrow pencil I have in it's Revlon's Brow Fantasy Color Stay. This is just the pencil right now. I'm not using the brow mascara, which is exactly what it sounds like. It kind of goes on and gives you that super like sort of a monotone brow, but right now the mascara itself is just too light for me because I'm back to my natural hair color. The definition in the pencil, the color story is just right, but for some reason the mascara is just a couple of hues different. And in just a second I can tell you what the in just a second I can tell you. This is Revlon Brow Fantasy by Color Stay. This is just called light brown forgot to say the color. So if you find yourself with hair roughly my shade, you might want to go with whatever the next color up is from this one. I bought this while I had sort of blonder hair, and for a while I was doing blue. I was doing overtone teal, and I have like an overtone canary yellow. That one I've sort of saved for a rainy day for the next time I'm bleached or something. Not planning on it, but those are shelf stable. Overtone is the color depositing conditioner, and I can talk about that at a different time. But less harmful for the most part than other hair products might be. So back to my journey with makeup. I do have... So I was working at Kohl's seasonally. This was just a very small chapter of my life. I would say I was there for like, I don't know, 3 months total. It was like Black Friday training into, the Christmas heyday, and then like the Christmas returns, and then like in through after New Year's sort of stuff. And then, so while I was there, I was primarily cashiering, but then obviously in retail. If you've ever had a retail job, I would say statistically you might have. They kind of just like do whatever is necessary with you. So sometimes it's go get carriages if you have, a job like that, or a store like that, because obviously if you're in the mall, they might not have carriages, or, whatever really needs to get done. Whoever calls out that day is, really, it's kind of the Wild West in retail. Whoever calls out, however many people show up that day, everything's made up and the points don't matter. And in doing so, I don't know if every location has it, but the location that I was working at in Dartmouth, again, this is a long time ago, did have a makeup whole section. And my impression right now, Kohl's did have like Kohl's exclusive makeup products, which to me, I don't know if it was like Kohl's was like the parent company. And like, I don't think that they were like Kohl's made them, but I do think that they were Kohl's exclusive brands. Like one of them was Meet Matte Hughes, and they had it like Meet Matt Hughes, like Matt Hughes was a person, however they spelled it. Okay, so just trying to make sure I'm not like lopsided brows here. What's funny is I actually do have my brows microbladed. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So microblading is the same as tattooing. It's just a simple pen, smaller pen. And it is a face tattoo. It was as painful as a regular tattoo would be. And I don't have any other face tattoos, as you can see. So it was my first experience having a tattoo like so close to my eye socket. So that part was a little unnerving. Whoever you go to for microblading gets to know you very well, because you're just like in, they are in your face. They are making sure like they do the stenciling, the brow mapping to make sure that like you don't want to leave with like lopsided brows. So yeah, you have person in your face for like, I think I was there for a 90-minute period, maybe a 2-hour period. I went to a place in Warwick, Rhode Island. I would say microblading is gaining popularity. Like I think more and more people are doing it, And for me, again, because of my relationship with makeup, I feel like there are certain things that I feel like I'm naked without, like my face just doesn't feel right without having it on, especially if I'm having company over or if I'm leaving the house or if I'm trying to talk about this without sounding silly, but I know it's going to sound silly to somebody out there. I feel like I was raised in a way where like I didn't want to leave the house without makeup. I didn't want to go like to the grocery store or to the bank without makeup. So I'm just doing a little bit of eyeliner because I don't like that feeling where like I am still going to do eyeshadow. And like I said, part of this is to go in like layers and layers and layers. So just bear with me for a little bit. Like I said, this is not going to be like a quick 5-minute makeup tutorial. I'm going to try my best to do my base face for like my going out face. So yeah, just to wrap up what it's like when you go to get microblading done, it is very personal. You will have watery eyes. It is like on your brow bone, tattooing in and around once they get that shape really nailed down. And because of how I do my makeup, I really do enjoy like the pinup brows. As you can see, this is like my default. So underneath, I've been making a concerted effort to wear less makeup on days that I don't need to because I've been also into like the skincare journey, which I think that you can't really be into makeup without having skincare. I think that in like 2016, 2017, you definitely had like girls who were doing makeup only and weren't really moisturizing, weren't really, I think, doing what they could have to help set their skin up for success. So I feel like there's a little bit of catch up that people my age were doing. In terms of one thing being taught and not the other. I know a lot of people who are dealing with acne scars because of that. So, just going to turn another light on. I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Thanks for being patient. Like I said, I haven't really done a makeup video itself in a while, so just trying to get my lighting as best I can. I am on, doing my best with my laptop and my webcam, so bear with me. It is my goal to hopefully get to a place where I can monetize my YouTube channel, but right now I'm simply not there. So hopefully once I get to that point, I'll be able to afford a little bit more stuff, and I will definitely be putting what I'm able to back into this channel. So that would be, a different microphone, a different setup for myself, maybe some other backdrops. And I'm hoping that you don't mind just sticking around while I'm in this in-between stage, while I get off the ground. I really appreciate every single like, every single view, every single subscriber. I do hope to revisit these live makeup videos whenever I can, if you enjoy them. So yeah, microblading I think it took me maybe a week to heal. What happens is they put they go through the process, and the day or two afterwards, it looks darker. And you basically have to take care of it similar to what you would for a normal tattoo. You do the A&D ointment, maybe like the bacitracin if you have. I think that they sent me home with a couple of packets, and then at home you have your own Neosporin and stuff that you can use as like there might be a little bit of blood, a little bit of, just like a regular tattoo. I would say this was by far my most painful tattoo that I've had so far. I do have, at the moment I have 5, so I think I can speak with some sort of experience. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit. So I'm really glad that I did the microblading. I think that it's held up really well. And for days where like I just want to put mascara on, or just want to do eyeliner and mascara, or I just want to do something simple like blush and lipstick, it gives me that moment of like, it knocks so much time off of the top of my day. Just for like, it gives me more time to do other things, and it really helps me not feel self-conscious about myself. So in terms of like relatively inexpensive procedures, that was worth every cent that I spent. I'm gonna do a little bit of nose contouring with powder, just like littlest bit here. So I'm going to use what is actually an eye liner brush and go super gingerly down the sides of my nose. And this, well, I know it looks unusual now, but it will look better in just a few minutes. So if you are wondering why the heck I'm doing this, this is a process that makes your nose look a little bit smaller, at least from the front. And with enough blending, it doesn't really look crazy from the side either. The hard part is whereas like you can be with your cheekbone, you can kind of like do any old shape that's flattering to your cheekbone. With your nose, you have to really be specifically as even as you can on other sides. I've seen people who actually connect their contour in with their brow or their inner eye corner, inner eye socket. And that is... There are actually more sophisticated tools that you can use, like specifically for like the double brushes that'll go down the side. And what I'm going to do right now is go down with my other contour color. This is called 355 Coconut. This is the Fit Me powder from Maybelline. So really quick, this is the coconut shade. So you can see it's not super off from what I was showing you for my contour shade. This is the classic tan, and this is the coconut powder. So this is going to go down the side of my nose. It's also going to go on my, in and around my cheekbones to help kind of contour there as well. And I'm going to go back over. And while I'm here, I think I'm going to also do some definition in here with this. So this is basically going to add a little bit of depth and warmth for when I put other colors in, and it's really going to create like an eye-popping effect. So when people put really light colors like underneath their brow bone to highlight, they basically also, this is the opposite effect where like this will warm up to make it look like you have a deeper eye socket. Okay, so again, this is just what I consider to be part of the base face. And then in a little bit, I will start on eyeshadows. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wipe the brush off a little bit so that way I'm not adding any extra contour. But I am going to take a few minutes to blend this in. Again, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, or anything pertaining to the channel itself, please go ahead and use this time to write a question in. If you have one, something you'd like to see in the future. So while I wait for those to come in, I can finish telling you that really, I think starting in the makeup world, in the retail world, where I was occasionally working like the makeup section, I wanted to be able to talk as much as I could about the products as intelligently as I could, where somebody was coming in looking for something specific to highlight, something good for their skin tone. I wanted to let them know what the best products are out there and sort of how different things performed. So whenever I could, I was, sometimes with what little money I had, I was purchasing more makeup than I should have been on my budget. And obviously, for starters, I had this really good base knowledge of like what my mom was using for makeup at home. I had a really good understanding of like what kids my age, people my age, through people in school age were doing, and what products they were using, what they liked, what they didn't like. I've seen a lot of TikToks about how the dream matte mousse phase that everybody my age went through, I think obviously the generation above me kind of went through. Maybelline was really pushing something called Dream Matte Mousse for a little while, and it did. There was a series that they were pushing like the Dream Matte Mousse, the BB formulas. So basically, the concept was to put more tints on your face and less heavy, cakey makeup. But in the process, as much as it was a breeze to apply, like the Dream Matte Mousse goes on really lightweight, but it was like no matter what color you purchased, you turn orange, like full on freaking orange. So unfortunately, we're talking about the same era as like Jersey Shore, where like people were tanning, people were fake tanning, people were doing all these things. But also, even if you weren't doing that, a lot of the foundation, it was like a dark time in the makeup industry for a long, long time where like people were not, unless you had really just not shade matching, and then obviously for people who were like the range of skin tones was not being tailored to like it is today. That's why it's so revolutionary for like brands like Fenty Beauty kicked off with like upwards of 50 foundations, upwards of 50 powders. Like this is where she started. And basically it kind of like reminded other makeup companies to like up their game, like that they really needed to get their shit together and cater to this population of people who were not medium, not olive, not like, they really needed to expand their range to like darker colors, and to have a wider variety of undertones. So for as much as like I can say like I had a difficult time, obviously I'm recognizing that those people had a much more difficult time. Anybody who was darker than my shade. What I personally run into, and again, I can only really talk from my own experiences and I don't want to talk for anybody else, but for me, I have a lot of like really deep olive tones. It's not going to show up on camera, but like I really do have my Azorian DNA kind of beats up the rest of it, and that's where I get my bird beak from. That's where I get a lot of my coloration. As much as like my mom was really light and she had the freckles, her mom was really, really light. Just putting on some chapstick. Because winter's just starting to get to me a little bit, and because we're not on lips yet, we're a long ways away from lips. So yeah, I think that it was just so, there was such a big expansion. Not that makeup wasn't popular before, but I think the advent of like the popularity increasing on YouTube and the accessibility of different things and just increasing knowledge of what was out there to the populace, because people were looking, you know, maybe favoriting a YouTuber, and then that YouTuber would go out and be like, okay, well, this person has the same skin type as me, or this person has the same complexion, same even, you know, makeup style, stylistically. And that's the beauty of social media, if there ever was one, to be as eye-opening and as inclusive as you can be. You basically have, everybody has the opportunity to record themselves, speak about what they use, and that is going to be beneficial for somebody. So I think that the biggest thing that I'm personally grateful for is like I have a much better understanding of what foundations work for me, why they work, what formulas to avoid. Like I really do have like a combination skin. In winter, I'm certainly more dry. I think a lot of people are dry, so it's realizing like how you need to moisturize a little bit more, how to basically like just learning how to take care of your skin. Obviously, the skincare portion is a huge part of it, where you're Making sure that you have a good moisturizer to put on at the beginning of the day underneath your makeup, at the beginning of the evening when you're taking off your makeup, because makeup can be remarkably drying. And obviously, when you're doing thicker, but like more non-natural makeup looks, where you're like fully changing the structure of your face, you're fully just sort of changing your bone structure to create more of a facelift, uplift sort of moment. It's very time consuming, but you'll see the benefits in a little bit, and I can kind of point out to you what that will look like in short order. So what we're doing is basically creating lines of you're eliminating or minimizing, not eliminating, but minimizing the focus on parts of yourself that you don't necessarily like. And you're highlighting, making yourself look a little bit longer, a little bit leaner, a little bit more. There's different contouring methods to different face shapes, and there are a lot of really great videos on those. I'd be happy to create something like that if you feel like that's something you'd like to see. I'm more than happy to do that, provide that to you. Like I said, I'm really trying to tailor this channel to what you would like to see in the upcoming weeks, and really what you're interested in as a viewer. I'd like to try and make sure I'm catering my content to the people who are consuming it. So if there is a brand that you specifically would like me to check out, or if you want to say, hey, like, walk me through how you do your eyeliner, anything that's that, more specific, I can try and accommodate that for you in the near future. But I will kind of just wait to hear from you guys. And until then, I'm just going to create a little bit more of the video similar to this. And I think I'm ready to start. I'm going to do the rest of my face contouring. I am going to go back in with the coconut powder. I'm also periodically using the... That eyeshadow did not want to stay in the pan. I'll clean that up later, but I am using the cremated palette. This is the artwork, and unfortunately I know it's not the cleanest, not most perfect depiction. This is the shade range for that. I haven't picked up a lot of his new stuff because I really tried to shift gears and like also consume other creators' things and not be like only checking out. I'm trying to basically explore names that aren't so big, if that makes sense. I'm really trying to explore indie makeup. I have actually a couple indie companies I'm going to show you in a second that I found on Etsy, and really enjoying consuming stuff from them. If I can find their page, I think maybe I'll just wait a second and I can try and find those in a minute. Sorry, as much as I was looking for that, I don't want to be ignoring my live channel, so I can find that, and if not, I can post it in the description later on. So yeah, the cremated palette, a lot of people didn't like because it came out during the pandemic. A lot of people thought that it was tone deaf. And it does have names like hearse, inheritance, death certificate. One of the colors is called Rest in Peace. So because this was released earlier in the pandemic, people really kind of like lost it a little bit. I remember actually when my package first arrived and trying to explain what I had just received in the mail to my mom, who was right there that day. Out in the yard, we were all like talking in the open air, and one of my packages arrived from UPS while she was sitting right there, and she was like a little bit like pearl clutching. Because again, traditionally makeup names are across the board, like beige, light beige, tan, like these are, you know, foundation colors. And then the like the traditional names are like sun-kissed or like, you know, rosy, whatever. Like the names just simply aren't the same as they used to be. And like, you know, things that come out obviously from just Jeffree Star are designed for a little bit of shock and awe. Of course, there's the more recent, a little bit more problematic, in a different sense, ways where people thought like certain things were offensive to the Catholic Church, because some of the imagery he was using was more, I believe, like he was releasing things with like him in the robes, him in like specific more papal looking hats, which not everybody was keen on. So the third palette I have here, so I have cremated here, I have blue blood here. I think that's what I'm going to use for like my lid color. I also have a Lorac palette here, which is the Lorac Los Angeles Pirates of the Caribbean palette. There we go. So what I'm doing right this minute is kind of carving out the cheekbones and the jawline. Don't always do this with a fan brush, but today I'm deciding to for some reason. So again, this is designed to highlight your jawline, really give you that definition, and kind of create the super carved out situation. So again, unfortunately, because of the way I'm filming the positioning I'm in, it's not going to show up perfectly even, because unfortunately I have more lights on this side of the room than I do on this side, but I will try and do some before and after shots. I will post perhaps to Instagram or something like that and do some TikToks. My TikTok, if you don't already follow me over there, is Technicolor Kaleidoscope, all one word. And yes, those are not the most commonly used words, but if you Google Technicolor and Google Kaleidoscope, they're spelled exactly how they are. They're all one word. There's no punctuation. And they're a little bit of a mixed bag. My TikTok is primarily lip syncs right now. And my Instagram is really undergoing a facelift because I'm trying to figure out how to isolate my work content and my personal content. And what I was running into is like, I don't want to be so shoehorned that like I don't think I can post anything that isn't work, but I also want to like let people know what I'm doing. So I'm trying really hard to figure out what the best way to do that is. So if you have any suggestions, it's sort of like the age-old like work-life balance of like, if I give somebody who has been following me a long time, maybe they were a client of mine from before I had a work Instagram, and if I post like content about a party I'm going to, or stuff that's a little bit more personal, I don't want them to be like, oh my gosh, who is this person? Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's her. Like, why is she posting this all of a sudden? So that's the goal. I'm hoping to get better at separating those two different avenues of my life right now. So my last 2 Instagram posts I can speak to, I basically haven't made a post since I put up my where I've been, what I've been doing video, and that was posted to my YouTube. Let me see really quick. So my content shows that it was posted. So where I've been and what I've been doing was posted 9 days ago. I have that video. I have videos on what it's like to stay at the ashram, because I have had 2 different stays there at this point in my life, and some of the culture shocks I had, some of the difficulties that students I was staying there alongside had, and really the difficulty of what their expectations, their life experiences are versus what the expectations are in the westernized world. Because the ashram, I went there for yoga school, and their policy practices, just their whole entire lifestyle is ashram first, yoga school second. So that's a little bit more challenging for people who are so accustomed to like, I want to have my phone on me at all times, and I want to do like, why can't I smoke and drink, or whatever their normal habits are. And unfortunately, like, that's their culture just does not, those are offensive things to do on their property. And unfortunately for the school, for the administrator people who run the program, like, that's just, people kind of like just do whatever. And they don't really, like, they realize because they're like recommendations, it's not super enforced, like, absolutely do not do this. But it is considered like a huge slap in the face. So as much as they don't really have staff to necessarily enforce that, it is like a violation of their code of conduct they keep amongst themselves. So they ask you when you get to the school, it's, no caffeine, which was really difficult. And if you're anything like me, no caffeine is enormously difficult to abide by. But I did no caffeine for 2 weeks while I was there. 15 day program. And the other couple difficulties I was having was just The structure, like, I'm really glad that I proved to myself that I can do that type of a rigorous program, but there were some difficulties I had with, like, continuously waking up early, not really having the free time to do anything. Like, the rigorous program is a rigorous program. It's not really like people think, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go do this super casual thing. I'm gonna do yoga for 2 weeks. It'll be amazing. And it was amazing, but it's also, you're completing a certificate program, even though you're in Miramar, Miami, you still need to do those requirements that are expected of you to complete that. And I think a lot of people did have like a huge difficulty with that. And I'm trying to think of sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, so for anything pertaining to that subject, you're more than welcome to go check out that video. If you're somebody who is at all interested in like what's that alternative lifestyle like, and what's, you know, what does the word ashram mean, and what does, you know, these different things, please go ahead and check that out. I will try not to drone on too much more about it here, but I think that was really interesting, and that perspective is not something that a lot of other people have, to go somewhere and to do something that is that rigorous, that I would say it was a super life-changing experience. It was definitely eye-opening, and yeah, please go ahead and check that out if you're interested. So I'm very toasty right now. I'm going to do this color is from the Lorac palette. I'm going to do Shiver Me. I should say this whole palette is Pirates of the Caribbean themed. I know that this palette's old, but what I do is I do like an alcohol spray, and I have, obviously some of the colors are long gone. Yeah, the colors Ghostly, Starry Night, and Matey. It's like matte-y, matey, like First Mate. So that's, I'm going to try not to blind you with the mirror. I don't think I can do that very well, but take my word for it, or I'll throw a picture of it. Actually, there is a picture of it in the thumbnail, I believe. So if you want any more information on that, I can definitely do that. So I'm going to go in under here to start to do the highlighting process. And what I'm going to do, see, I have just kind of show you the different angle. I'm just kind of fanning this out. So typically when you do a brow bone color, I don't do it all the way under the eyebrow here. I do it just this right under the, like the eyebrow tail. And I think, what colors do you think I should do? Like I said, I have quite a few blue tones. I have green. Just going to wait a second to see if you guys want to type anything in, any specific requests. Please go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take a couple seconds. just to get a little bit more feedback. I'm actually going to text some friends just in case I don't get any feedback here. I'm going to text a couple people and just kind of see whoever gets back to me first about what color scheme I should do. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going to text a couple people right now. What I've sent is these are the cremated, sorry, I'm going to need to turn my brightness way down to do that. But these are the cremated color squares. I can almost guess that through. So I have the blue blood colors I texted were Cullinan, Minty, Crystal Flesh, Power, which is sort of this charcoaly color, Blue Blood, like the shade. There's a Blue Blood shade and a Blue Blood palette color. Deceased, and there's a color called Wealthy, Celebrity Skin, and Entitled. All right, so I did get a text back. I am going to do the Deceased, which is the dark blue. And I actually have better luck showing it to you here. And part of the trick to this is to, sorry, just moving around to grab stuff. Try not to blind you, so I might have to hold it up high. Yeah, because that way the mirror is not in frame. So Deceased is this teal, dark teal color. And I'm going to be using that, as well as, I think, Obituary, which is this dark taupe, sort of this moment. I'm realizing I do look a little bit more toasty than usual, but in order to get the makeup to show up on camera in a certain way, that's what I've been trying really hard to accomplish. So I'm going with like a little bit of a heavy hand today, and then whenever I do like my final setting powder, setting spray, you'll see it kind of all come together. So I'm going to do my tape trick. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to play by the rules. I said I was only going to use stuff that I brought over beforehand, and I didn't bring it over beforehand. So I'm not going to use my tape trick. I'm going to do, some of my eyeshadow brushes are really worse for wear, but like I said, I'm hoping to do a little bit of upgrades, and some of my stuff is already packed in my Boston bag, so just kind of doing my best here to highlight. So instead of, because I didn't do what I normally do, I'm going to set aside some extra carving out time to use this is just my translucent powder. Again, I would definitely hit pan on this, but this is the Neutrogena shine control powder. So this is the rice protein complex. I think that this is really amazing. It does exactly what I needed to do, especially on days where I'm taking a lot of photos. It really helps control, like, I have had my makeup even professionally done, and I've come out looking oily in my boudoir photos and other things that I've done, where like I really just wish that person had put a little bit more shine control powder, or had asked me more information about my skin type before I got there, or, you know, again, hindsight's 2020. I know what questions to ask and what to do when stuff like that does occur in the future. But unfortunately, I've then had to be like, well, nobody's seeing these photos until I get them professionally edited, because through no fault of like the artistry is beautiful, but under the heat of like box lights and studio lighting and 2 to 3 hours of posing and doing different things, you end up just, it's almost inevitable that you start to look shiny. Oliver. Okay, so Oliver wanted to join me for my makeup video, but he's already on the other side of the bed, so you just threw me off there. You weren't up here before. So yeah, unfortunately he's sniffing my makeup palettes, but he's, after a minute or two, he'll figure out he doesn't want anything to do with what I'm doing. Hi. Yep, he already jumped down. So what I'm doing here is basically baking. Right now I'm baking only the under eye, because frankly I'm not done putting powder on the rest of my face, but the under eye is supposed to be the brightest part anyway. And what this does is it essentially holds the foundation in place, and it will prevent other powder from, to be perfectly transparent about what I'm doing, it's essentially a tool which will prevent the other eyeshadow colors, because I'm using like a blue, I'm using some other colors. Sorry, I'm just checking really quickly on, I have an upload. Like I said, I have a video that's doing processing, so I want to make sure that that's still doing what it's supposed to. All right, so what I'm going to do here is going to take a minute to check in, make sure I know that right now it does look like I have a lot of powder on my face. Frankly, I do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be dusting off the excess powder in just a couple of minutes, but what I'm going to do is just make sure, this powder is basically to make sure that the blue isn't going to get stuck into my cheekbone, my under eye, the stuff that I've already applied. So I'm trying to think of a good way to, if anybody is watching who doesn't do a ton of makeup, not that that's a lot likely, but if you're wondering why I'm doing something like that, it's basically to do other colors underneath it, so that, like, if you're doing a wall color, you don't want to get your baseboards necessarily the same color. So again, if you have any questions as I'm going along, I don't have any problem answering those for you. I'm just checking something very quickly. I'm going here. I've tried really hard to minimize my alerts from other apps while I'm going through the motions here, but it's not perfect. Okay, so thank you. Looks like I have a couple new viewers at this time. Thank you for hanging out. I had. I'm going to start applying the deceased color. And this is the more challenging part, is that I just put a brush down somewhere. Here it is. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to be taking a minute here to use the deceased color again. Even on the brush, it is blue, 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 blue. I'm going to actually swatch some of these. On my arm here so you can see what they look like on their own. So that's the deceased color. Again, this is a palette I use exclusively on myself. I wouldn't recommend necessarily, wetting your finger and doing this if you're using it on some other people. But this is the Obituary. It's just this very matte gray tan. And then I'm actually going to do a swatch of what I'm using for contour so you can see how things started. So if you just give me 4 seconds here, I can show you. So this is the contour color I'm using, Coconut, obviously significantly darker than what my skin tone is, but that's why I've made the effort to highlight different foundations. And I swear once I dust like the excess powder off, it won't look so crazy. Once I have like my lipstick on, everything will be tied together. So yeah, this is the Coconut Maybelline powder that I used in my inner corner to kind of pull that through. Also did my nose contour with. This is the deceased color in the middle, and then this is Obituary, sort of this gray neutral tone. So here we go with the blue. So because I did the cutout earlier, I already have that depth where, yes, this is the one shade, but it's going to appear darker where I already have the contour in. So yes, even though it is a single eyeshadow color, the work that I've already done to do like the overlay of the color placement is going to come through in just a second here. So this will likely be very Elizabeth Taylor in like the Cleopatra, just because of the nature of the way the colors are, the way I'm going to probably do like a very graphic eyeliner. Just a heads up, if this is your first time here, I don't really do soft, subtle makeup like almost ever. Unless somebody else is doing my makeup, or like I said, there are days where I'll just like throw a lipstick on or throw a couple different things on and like run out the door, but I prefer whenever I can get away with it. I really do prefer doing more defined, more colorful looks. And I think since, again, time is no object, I'm going to do a halo eye cut crease. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to clean off one of the brushes I was previously using for contour powder. Just going to do that really quick. I have a bunch of tissues and Q-tips and stuff off camera that I had around just in case. So now I have this Bare Essentials brush. This is just what I would categorize as like a cat paw flat brush, but it's wide and flat. I'm going to put a little bit of my palest foundation right on the brush. And what that's going to do is it's going to give the opportunity for the color to pop just a little bit more, and it's going to help define the okay, so I'm going to just kind of quickly, carefully as you can see, that's obviously the foundation right there. I'm going to take it the step further and kind of create this elongated color pop space. I know I'm making faces, but you have the opportunity to just say a quick prayer to me, for me, to the makeup gods. I'm going to actually do another pump because I'm silly, or another half pump to make sure. What I'm basically doing is I did take my finger and kind of like spread the product out, make sure it has like that true crescent type shape. I would love to hear a little bit more about what my audience is interested in hearing more of. If you have a specific brand that you like, a specific type of makeup that you yourself do, I would love to hear more about that. Thank you to anybody who's just joining in. I'm sort of in the middle of the baking process as well as applying eyeshadow. So I realized that right this minute I do have a lot of powder on. But I'm going to be correcting that just as soon as I'm done with the eyeshadow. So what I've done is over applied the powder. Basically what that does is press everything in, and it helps everything really just totally set the face. Without excuse me, I am feeling just a little bit of soreness on my injection site, which is normal. And for anybody who wasn't here at the beginning of the stream, I did say I got my COVID booster today. My last vaccination was the middle of last year, or excuse me, May of last year. So right now I'm just wanted to kind of make sure that I would be all set because I'm working with the public again. And frankly, it's just the smartest move for me personally. I think I'm gonna do so obituary is definitely gonna go as like a inner area, like sort of a blending color. Okay. All right. And like I said, with this, we're going to probably be going back and forth here a few times where if anything goes over your blue on accident, goes over your other colors on accident, don't be afraid to just go right back over to define your brow area, brow bone area. Okay, so we did that. I think I'm gonna do Blue Monday as my next color. And I'm gonna wet the brush for this one. And what that does is really like gets that pigment in there, kind of keeps it there. So give me just 2 seconds. I'm gonna run the water. Okay. So Blue Monday is this true, almost violet blue. I keep calling it like electric blue, but you can see it definitely has more of like the hyper purple. Let me put it next to my swatch here. That'll be easier. So this is it's actually not a very good swatch. Hang on just a sec. So this is 2 layers of Blue Monday. This is that teal that I already have in my arc. Blue Monday is the other one. So this is going to be going... I think this is going to be a part of my halo colors, to be honest with you. Like, I think that this is going to go in the middle of... Okay. So... here we go. So this has given me the extra definition I feel like I was kind of missing with the monotone. So you can see that already kind of gives like the super prismatic moment. I think what I'm going to do now is try and break up the blues. So I'm again kind of cleaning off my brush here. I'm going to do... just a little bit of, I think, on the cut crease itself, I'm going to go to do more of like a coppery color. So my signature copper color is Treasure from this Lorac palette. It's been a favorite pleasure of mine for a long time. It is just this really nice penny color, but it really does look fiery when it goes on. And again, because I've already applied like that very neutral color in the inner corner, this is going to look really great off the bat. Okay, so I actually should have done, I didn't get my setting spray, so I think that's what I'm going to do, is go get my setting spray. That way when I do need something wet, I can just use that. Not worry about like constantly getting up to wet my brushes. Because like I said, I'm a little bit out of the swing of things. That one's sort of a duh moment, but give me just a second here. Okay, so I did just spray this. Wanted to make sure there weren't going to be any blockages. I know earlier I went to put my foundation on and one of them had like a little bit of a dried over exposure. So because of that, I just wanted to go through a little bit of prep to make sure that that wasn't going to happen again. So I'm going to be wetting the brush just a little bit to really do that color pop. Figure I have a cat that's headbutting me because he wants pets. Hi, buddy. So once again, I'm going to take my brush. Did you hear me say cat's paw earlier? That's why you're crashing my video. So this is the e.l.f. This one is actually like sort of a luminescent spray. I don't think there's glitter like in it, but it does leave like your skin ends up looking more dewy. And that's not always, I know I just went through the effort of making sure I look super mattified in the powder, but that's ultimately in order to look less flat after you put matte powder on, you put the luminescent spray on over. So I'm going to do Treasure here. And again, I'm just going to take a minute and use my handheld mirror. Yeah, okay. That is definitely a lot closer to what I was looking for. Just like super color pop of copper right in the center of the lid. And then I'm going to this copper is going to follow out and sort of follow the eyeshadow line from the blue, kind of come in right underneath that blue. Okay. And now what I'm going to start doing is going in with, this is a Milani color. It is actually technically a lip liner, but I use it for eyeliner all the time. I really like the consistency. This is their Easy Liner retractable pencil in Sugar Plum. So this is what that looks like. It's burgundy Sugar Plum with Milani. So because I already put the pencil underneath and there's already eyeshadow there, it's going to pull. Look at that. It's just like 2 strokes from this one. This is the most beautiful like eye kohl I've ever used. And having something that's not because my eyes are hazel, having something that's not like true black, having something that's not like a super dark brown, I think that the burgundy is like super flattering for me. And again, if eyeliner isn't like your favorite to do, that's a-okay. If you're somebody who needs a Q-tip to clean up, which I honestly might right now. So this is my burgundy under. So what you want to do, I start by doing the lid hugging portion right on the lash line. And then I just kind of go back and forth as needed, as I deem necessary. So the burgundy actually acts as a third color, but it really does warm up the copper too. Okay. What's funny about this is in a minute you're going to see me use a pencil, like an eye pencil for my lips, and I use a lip pencil for my eyes frequently. Like something about this formula in particular really does it for me. Okay. So I'm going to leave this like that for a second. Just going to let it settle in, and then in a minute I'm going to do a small amount of cleanup. So once again, this is the Milani Easy Liner retractable pencil. This one's Sugar Plum. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to take some completed looks once I'm fully done, and then I'll post those. And you can see this is just my in progress. This is my eyeshadow drop cloth that I've been using as I clean off my things. I'm actually going to do silver under eye. And in the waterline, this is the Tattoo Studio Maybelline. Tattoo Studio Maybelline gel pencil liner, crayon gel. This one is called Sparkling Silver. So just a solid gray. So when I do my bottom, I only do like from here to here and then like from here inward. I don't really do this middle part too frequently. Or if I do, I'll put a third color there. Just to add like some extreme. It really does add some extreme definition and just such a simple way to do that. I do really, really like the Tattoo Studio products. As I've said in previous videos, I'm a long wear biddy. So because I have both the copper warm tones and the silver tones, it's going to look like this really interesting like fire and ice, blue, silver, burgundy, copper, like a little bit of neutral tone. And then if I can put gold somewhere, I probably will at this point. Just to kind of like go totally full circle. And then, like I said, so this is it just on the corners. And then I'm going to do silver in the waterline too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start brushing off the excess powder here. So you can see, I don't know if you can see them on camera, but there's definitely like these clouds of dust coming off my face right now. So you can see already it looks a lot more like skin and a lot less like something else. There we go. I can already see like some of it is picking up on camera. So what the idea is that if your powder sits as long as humanly possible, it will, one, set your liquid makeup so that it won't, like your foundation won't bail on you. See, you can already see it looks so much more like skin. And in a second, I know it doesn't have it right now, but I'm going to be putting the point on the eyeliner in just a second. The point I'm going to do in black, so it'll be this interesting transition of burgundy to black, which will just add to like the color depth that I'm going to show in just a second. And again, what leaving the setting powder on really does is helps totally set the face and helps remove the likelihood of having color, like blue color from your eyeshadow in this instance. It totally removes or substantially removes the likelihood of it hanging out where it shouldn't be. And again, this is a relatively heavy-handed look because I really wanted to go through like what my process is, how it highlights the center of your face and the middle of your nose, and how to do like a bright under eye. which in a second, once I'm all set here, kind of blending everything together again with a different brush. What this is going to do is just kind of marry everything together. Because as much as you want that color separation and that definition, you also want it to look like the same face and not two different faces. So this is where the marriage of like, oh, she has a really defined face structure versus this person has stripes on her face. Because I know that that's where a lot of people they'll see like these clown contouring and different contouring techniques on TikTok, and those are just simply not meant for every day. So if that's what you think of when you're afraid to pick up a contour palette or a contour stick, brush, whatever, I obviously understand your hesitation if that's you're only seeing this sensationalized, like, again, with the way consumerism works, you're only really seeing the most extreme version of those products. So you're seeing like the clown contouring, and the same thing is like, for a while after, they were talking about like the vampire facials and like what it's like to have those sutures basically for the benefit of like creating new and better skin quality by fully like it was sort of the same process as what I think microdermabrasion was, but basically on a deeper level of like, we're going to let a lot of your plasma rejuvenate. I don't really fully know enough, but I know that was like the, oh my gosh, this super weird thing. Like, unfortunately, that is very, very, very common in makeup, just as much as it is for every other. People will be like, oh yeah, I would never do that, or I would never let my daughter, if she's of a certain age, you say like, well, that's definitely not for me and mine, like, because it just looks really wild. And my goal of using a smaller brush here, and the reason I'm using a different brush, is because right now I'm not doing color depositing. I'm just kind of going back over what I've done so far. And then if I do go through this process and see, yeah, you know what, I do need to do a little bit more definition here, or this isn't quite how I'm looking for it to be the final product, then yeah, that already looks, I'm really happy with the way, if you can see the lean in a little bit here. I know unfortunately my camera quality isn't the best, but you can really see like the inner corners as I turn my face back and forth. And like I said, I'm going to be adding points to do like a more defined eyeliner in just a second. My goal with leaving just the kohl on is to kind kind of just like let it set in, and that way you're not applying so many products at once, because unfortunately when you start layering too much in the way of like eye product, eyeliner, you can't really apply something without removing something else. So that's the important part of like, I used a pencil first, and then I used the eyeshadow layering. No, I'm sorry. Let me start from the beginning. I did my foundation on the eyelid, which is just like a good base for making colors really stand out, especially really vibrant ones. So foundation. And then I did one layer of eyeliner underneath the eyeshadow layers, which was really just to like help it really hug and not do like the gapping that sometimes if you put eyeshadow on and then you go back to do pencil, the pencil will hug the eyeshadow and then both of them will fall off. I've run into that before. I know a lot of other people who have run into that if you don't take your proper precautions. They are, yeah, so after the eyeshadow I did go in with the burgundy eyeliner, and now I'm actually going to marry it through with black pencil and then a small amount of black powder just to do a definition moment. So I'm trying to look and see what I have, like what my sharpest pencil is right now. I'm actually going to swatch my pencils too, just so you can see what some of those are looking like. So I'm going to do, I have a black pencil, a brown pencil, which I did to do the darker outside corners of my eyelid, my eyebrows, after I did the other brown pencil, which is the Revlon pencil, which I highlighted before. There we go. I thought I got a message from someone that it looked like I was glitching, so I just want to make sure I was still streaming. So just really quick, this is what I'm doing. I have the burgundy, the brown, and then my black pencil. My black pencil is what I'm going to be going back in with for just a second. Again, with just like a super light hand. And then I think I'm going to do this off camera really quickly. Just a second. I really want to get this right. So I'm going to get up for just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so thank you to everybody who stuck around just now. I did go off camera to fix my eyeliner, so I apologize. I ended up going in a little bit of a different direction because I got up, I saw the rest of my toolkit, and I kind of seized the moment. This is another Milani product. They really do make for what I need, what my needs are. I really do enjoy their products. This is a Milani eyeliner called Midnight Matte. It is just this beautiful, obviously, midnight blue, not quite navy. And that's this right here. And I really think the burgundy underneath it really makes the rest of the look. It really does add like that super definition that I really like to have. And what I really like to do when you're doing eyeliner that you need to stay put for hours and hours and hours is you do pencil, potentially 2 layers of pencil, and then your liquid, your kohl maybe, which is the pencil I had. So there's pencil, there's eye kohl, which is this sort of twist up. You can see the twist up, twist down moment. And these are all different formulas that do different things. So when you layer them, you're basically adding, like, the pencil is the first layer, the kohl crayon texture crepas is filling in the gaps between the pencil, and then I really like I will put liquid liner usually on top of either both the pencil and the kohl, or just the pencil, and it will hug, that liquid will hug the eyeliner. And then what you do on top of the eyeliner is you put a similar shade eyeshadow, which will just absorb, super mega lock that in for hours and hours and hours. So I'm wiping off my chapstick and just that little bit of foundation that I did have on, because I'm about to do lipstick. And I'm thinking, I don't have a blue lipstick anymore. I did have for a while, but what I have in front of me for options are, I have these 3 are from the Pennywise collection. They are gray, pumpkin orange, and tomato red. These are from the Drek Menkins Tater Rounds Beauty Sewer Dweller. So Pennywise inspired. And these colors, if you're wondering what they are, so these are from that company on Etsy. I really can't think of their name right now, but I'm going to running out of space on my arm, actually. So I don't think these actually have color names. They're just from their Sewer Dweller collection. This came out at the same time as the remake of the It movie. So you got my drift. So the only thing I will say is these are not, they're matte lipsticks, but they're not matte to the point where, like, you don't need to reapply them. They're not, like, for me, I used to really like the KVD Beauty, the Jeffree Star liquid lipsticks, stuff that's going to lock into your skin and really, like, hold form. So for me, I don't really like to wear it unless it's mask proof. So this is Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink. This is shade 115 Founder. This. I think they had this line of, they might still, I don't know if this line's been discontinued yet, but the Super Stay Matte Ink had a line where they were like, this one's Founder, this one's Go-Getter, this one's CEO, and they were all very like female forward. So I have 2 more shades of that, but those are packed away right now. So if I may, just for comparison, these are the 5 colors in front of me. I'm going to try and hold them up in the order that I put them on my arm. So I have gray, pumpkin red, matte, sort of a raspberry, and then my bread and butter. So I'm going to do, if I can just figure out a way to hold these up. So this is the color order. And this is the way I've decorated my arm. So, of course, I held them up backwards. But if you look at these, so these 3, the first 3 here are from Drakmakin's Tater Rounds Beauty collection. And then the raspberry color is this Maybelline, and the Jeffree Star formula. This one does have a name. I just can't see straight. Oh my gosh, maybe it's a misprint. I really can't find this shade, so excuse me. I'll have to look on their website. Maybe I can do that in just a second if you'll permit me. I don't want to be taking up too much time on that, but I would like to make sure I'm talking in the right fashion. It looks like I had just a small eyeliner mishap before, so let me take a minute to So in case you're wondering, yes, it's perfectly fine to go in with a concealer, again, over the powder if you need to. It's not recommended to do it for large areas, but it will help make like your eyeliner mega super crisp, like to a point. There we go. Nice and deadly looking. And then if your applicator gets any eyeliner on it, you can give that a quick wipe down before you put it back in the bottle. But I'm going to do the same on this side, just again to do even Stevens. You want to do as symmetrical as you can. The hard part for me is like my eyes don't sit super symmetrical in nature. I have a tick. If you want to call it anything, I would call it a tick, where my eyebrows, like I always have one or the other of them arched, and it's usually this one. It's been brought up to me. And I also have 2 different eyelid styles, so if you... It's hard to show, especially now that I have eyeshadow on. I might do an eye shape moment, like to discuss what different eye shapes benefit from in terms of how to do makeup for them. And then, yeah, so what you do is you put whatever you need to on, and then I recommend doing it with Beauty Blender if you feel like you need to reapply the eyeshadow, or, reapply the foundation itself. I would just do like one dot, and then, again, obviously we already do have the foundation on. We've done the face powder. And then what you're going to have to do is just repowder that area a small amount. So that really does highlight that immediate under eye area. I just want to say thank you because I feel as if so I know I'm not alone in saying this, but during the pandemic, it's been a really dark time for me mentally. And I just want to say thank you to all my viewers. I think that each and every one of you have made me feel like, my journey into creating videos was important and possible and valuable. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. And again, creating this definition of like layering will help marry everything together. I'm going to do just a small, again, don't feel bad. Don't feel like any look is unattainable to you. I've been doing makeup since I could walk. I've been doing makeup since I could walk, and I'm still touching on my eyeliner, so don't feel bad. Of course, mistakes happen all the time. You see people blink when their mascara is still wet. You see all kinds of wild things. So I think what I'm going to do is use this is that Revlon pencil I have. I'm just going to put it in between here. So this is the difference between, this is the medium brown and then the dark brown. Unfortunately, I already put the black and the dark brown next to each other, but you can see this tan light brown. And then this dark brown pencil is what I used to do the outside of my eyebrows. So it really does give that huge definition of, what do I want to do? I think what I'm going to do is create a poll really quickly. Let's see. Who says what first? All right, so I'm going to do quick moment and say, I do also have a clear gloss. And So I'm just going to send them the color options. These are so while I wait for a couple responses from those, I'm going to So, yes, I think that I really like my makeup so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start lining my lips in like a neutral color, and whoever gets back to me first, or if more than one person gets back to me, I will kind of weigh the options. So yeah, what I'm going to do is use my brown pencil from right here, which I was just showing off. So this is just a light brown. I'm going to go around and do, what this does is it essentially does contour your lips with So I do already have pretty full lips, but I still do what a lot of people would consider overlining. I really don't. It's hard to break a habit, so I guess I've always overlined them. But what happens when you do it with a natural color is it doesn't look too wild. Like you could actually if you wanted to just leave like this and like a tinted gloss would look natural enough that like not a lot of people would second guess whether or not it's real. So I'm going to just check one more time. Right now I don't think I've gotten any responses. So I sent the picture of the vials and then the picture of the swatches. And then I just said, if you can text me the next little bit, I'm trying to pick a color for my live. And if nobody gets back to me, that's a-okay. What I might do is do like something a little bit more creative and do like color stripes maybe. So there's gray. There's like a tomato red. Raspberry. So once again, I'm going to see if this company is actually still around, because I know companies on Etsy unfortunately just kind of like come and go. So yes. So Tater Round's Beauty is on Etsy. They are based. They're calling themselves the Country Goth brand. They're vegan and cruelty free, which is awesome. They carry all kinds of products. They actually have nail polishes too. Sorry, I have to learn to turn down the brightness on my phone before I do that. But they have pages and pages of categories. They have skincare. They have Tater teas, which I think it's potpourri. Home fragrance, so candles and room sprays. They have a couple different things. Eyeshadows. Looks like they really run the gamut. They have like all kinds of things. And let me see if this one is still for sale. So Sewer. So it doesn't look like the Sewer Dweller collection is still being put out. That's a little bit of a bummer. Okay, so I had somebody text me back that they thought I should do the raspberry. I'm going to start doing that, but I think actually what I'm going to do is do something fun where if somebody does text me back while I'm doing my lips, I'll do like different colors. You'll see. It'll be fun. I have a cat looking at me like, you're still doing your makeup? Just realized I didn't put mascara on yet, but I will do that shortly. And I had a goal for myself to not go over the 3-hour mark, but I'm not sure at this point. You will see. Okay, so this is the raspberry from Maybelline, for anybody who might have just tuned in. Oh, I do have another text. She said, second one from the left. From the left. Okay, so it's funny. I had 3 different people text me and they all picked raspberry. So I'm very excited about that. Hi! So I'm not done. I'm going to keep on trucking here. Stop looking at my phone and goofing off and do the rest of it. Okay, so what I tend to do with liquid lips is I'll go around and I'll do the outer layer, outer line first. And kind of go right over that lip liner. what I feel that does is it kind of adds like that extra definition of, it kind of depends. This one is a thicker formula, so I don't think it actually does add extra definition. It might just be that I'm so used to doing that with other formulas. So then I know the lip lining itself is so personal. I know people who do like, you can do the X, which is kind of like super highlights the Cupid's bow. If you're doing arches that are more pointed, then you could kind of do like, you know, really elaborate those lines and do like less soft. I did see this hack not super long ago where somebody had like a Q-tip that they held like this way in their mouth, and they said that really helped them not oversaturate their inner corner. So that I think is a good sort of tip for if you're somebody who hasn't been applying lipstick that long, or you kind of want like to not have like that bleed out that sometimes can happen. And I really, really, really think that if you do that outer line like right over the liner first, it's not all drying at the same time, so it kind of saves your self from, if you go to do your inner lip and then your outer lip line touches your chin on accident, maybe you have like really larger lips, and even I've done that and I don't feel like I have like, I don't feel like my mouth is disproportionate. I do have really full lips. Not trying to brag, just an assessment. And I realize I'm 28. That might not always be the case, but I'd like to highlight them while I can. Okay, so that is one layer. I'm gonna let this dry and then kind of see how I feel. If I do feel like I need a second one, I can put that back on. So once this is all set and dry, you can see once it dries, it won't be, you know, you'll feel it on yourself, but if you really worry about like if it's dry, flat, then you can always take your pinky finger and kind of be like, liquid lipsticks aren't like regular lipsticks in the sense that you can't just like blot them. Not really. And historically what you would do is if you wanted something to stay super well, or if you didn't want lipstick to transfer onto somebody else, then you would kind of blot off any excess. And right now, this is a physician's formula. There's no way you're going to be able to make out the font, unfortunately. So it's Physician's Formula Lash Mixologist, and what the two ends are is one says length and one says volume. So this is color Black Noir. I tend to go, I know people who have like, so I tend to still do black only because you have a really hard time not getting black falsies. Like, basically, if you want brown falsies, they are either infinitely more expensive or you have to really, like, basically make them yourself. Which is just, it involves, like, a lot of lash glue, a lot of pigment. So you would do, like, hopefully your own eye safe paint to fully get in there. And what I do is I don't only go from the bottom up, I also go from the top down. I know not everybody does that, but what I do is I go in and down like this. So what you do is you kind of go in and down. And you have to be a little bit more careful while you do that, but you go on the eyelid side, kind of curl them up. I tend to not, it's not that I never use a lash curler, it's just that I don't tend to, in my day-to-day process, I don't usually. And that's because I feel like I have a decent amount of luck when I like steam my lashes. So if I do like makeup like right out of the shower, or if I kind of like, sometimes my lashes just don't need it. And to be perfectly transparent with you, sometimes I pinch my eyelid, and I know that's not a me exclusive experience. I know that people do that. I've seen, unfortunately, makeup gurus do it, and people who do this all the time. It's unfortunately, you just can't always control. So I'm just going to turn my fan on for a second. I'm feeling just a little bit toasty, so if you'll bear with me for just a short minute or two, I'll raise my voice. So I think what I'm really liking is the depth that this blue is giving me, because it really does highlight the eye socket. Whew, sorry, that fan does feel really good. So what I really like in here is it's highlighting the natural shape of your eye, because the blue itself, the two different shades of blue, go from in here all the way down. The eyeliner swoops down, out, and over. And I think that I'm really happy with the way the silver, it's not really picking up super well on camera. But I do have copper on my lid, and I have a silver liner in here. Oh yeah, so comment, I need to replace my lipstick and eyeliner. Any suggestions for someone who could cosplay cosplay and dead based on skin color. Yes, I think that we are. I feel like I'm certainly not the darkest in my family. I might be among the most olive, but I'm not the darkest. But a lot of my family does have the ability to use like liquid paper as concealer, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. But put that on low, so hopefully you can still hear me okay. But the fan is on low. I think that if you're going to do more of like a neutral color closer to like a brick or like a soft rose pink, which are, I think, a lot of people's everyday colors. Again, I'm a very bad person to ask, but I do really enjoy the Milani line. So these are the Milani Easy Liner for Lips Retractable Kohl. And see, I'll actually type it here just in case. So they're Milani has a favorite. Okay, so so I just typed back for anybody who's looking for recommendations for eyeliner and lip liner. I think that Milani is a great sort of, they're not the cheapest drugstore brand, but they are sort of a good everyday moment. They make really good liquid liners. That's actually what I have on now. I feel like the blue isn't picking up. I think the blue liner, in contrast to like the big bold blue shadow, isn't really picking up, but that's actually what I have on for liner. This is the Milani Stay Put Midnight Blue. And I think just the teal from my eyeshadow makes the eyeliner look really black, but the eyeliner is blue. So yeah, I think that I'm really happy with how this came out. I do want to gel my hair, and I think I lost my headband along the way. I did have a headband. Oh well, headband didn't want to be here anymore. So yeah, just a quick recap of what I did today. While I've been on with you, this is my Neutrogena kind of base that I have been using. Like I said, this is the Neutrogena Hyaluronic, they're calling it Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Tint. So it goes on. I actually took my foundation swatches off, so I might actually put them back on just for funsies. So this one comes with an applicator. I'm going to try and do them from darkest to lightest. So this is the Neutrogena. This is Hydro Boost Hydrating Tint with the hyaluronic acid. And these are my NYX foundations. Yes, I have 4 different foundations, 5 different foundations. I did do all 5 of them in different areas of my face today just to do a big contour differential. And again, I think it's going to show up in different lighting a little bit more. So yes, I'm going to put, this is the pale, literally pale. This is the lightest NYX shade. And go down like that. This is the, so there's pale, literally the palest. There's light, which is the one I'm putting here. Pale light. This one is this one is classic tan. This one I think is closest to, if I'm grabbing like one foundation to put all over my face, I think I'm a mix between classic tan and light. Because I'm not quite as, like, classic tan is just a little bit more olivey than I am. So, and then if I could just remember to put the right cover on the right bottle, that would be really helpful. So, in terms of from lightest to darkest, I have NYX, the NYX Pale, the light color through them, and then Neutrogena. Just sort of, again, it's a tint, so it's not quite as, it won't come out as dark, but their formula does sit dark. Darker, not really dark, but. And then True Beige and Classic Tan. And then I can grab the concealer. I seem to have misplaced, but my concealer was, oh, here it is. Gosh. This is Sand Beige. So that, I think, goes right here. So this is my foundation from, I think, lightest to darkest. Actually, I would switch these if I could. They're already laid down, but so everything is NYX except for the Neutrogena in the middle. You can see that there's actually, between the Neutrogena and the True Beige, which is the second to last color over here, I think that's closer to my natural complexion. And then today for contouring, I definitely did like the darkest shades on underneath my cheekbones for definition. And then for my powder contour, I just sort of toasted the edges here with the Fit Me powder. This is coconut. So that's what I primarily use to set in here. And then I did a little bit of that close to my hairline as well. And then my luminescent powder, this is my setting powder, this is the Rice Complex Neutrogena Shine Control. I also have a Shine Control primer. I'll have to do that, unfortunately, some other episode, but this is the foundation formula. And then if you weren't able to join me earlier, I had the Blue Blood palette is what I used for my my blue shadows. I have a mix of Deceased and Blue Monday, which are this sorry, the light's gonna be let me kind of hold it up here so that the mirror doesn't blind too many people, maybe just me. So it's this one here, and then Blue Monday actually picks up super like blue violet. And then this is the Cremated palette. Again, I know that that's not the most user-friendly name. This is, again, Jeffree Star makeup does tend to have more taboo names. So with this one I used Obituary, and then I used a little bit of the Casket Ready shade. So that's this white sort of bone color. And then the Pirates of the Caribbean palette from the Lorac palette. Again, holding them high so that the mirror is less obtrusive. So this is the Treasure color. I'm gonna actually swipe that because for some reason on camera it's not picking up. And I just want to see. Yeah, so in 4 swatches. Yeah, it's really unfortunately not picking up on camera that well. It's sort of this really bright, beautiful. I don't know. I think it's just the metallic is not getting done justice to. But and then for eye pencils, I did Tattoo Studio. This one is Sparkling Silver. This is the Brow Fantasy Revlon kit, which has both the neutral brown, light brown liner that I was using and the Brow Fantasy mascara. This is in shade light brown, both of them. And then I have, let's see, I want to make sure I'm not doubling up on anything when I explain what I'm using. So this is just a standard Wet n Wild color icon. These are like 99 cents. And what I tend to do is I'll melt I'll hold it over a candle or a lighter, just kind of melt it a little bit before it goes on, and it makes all the difference. You hold it for like 2-3 seconds, and it really just changes the whole consistency of the pen. Obviously, you don't want to make it too hot. You basically hold it over the flame for a short while, blow on it, kind of like finger test it, and then put it on your eye. It will go on warm, but you don't want it to go on like hot, because I've done that. Glad that I'm still here, but that really almost took me out. So, and then this is the Milani retractable easy liner for lips, Sugar Plum. And that's actually what I started to use in here to kind of really pick up the copper. And each and every one of these pencils was used today in varying degrees. So let me just take a second. This is LA Colors Brow Pencil. This is the darker brand that I used on the outside. Again, super inexpensive. LA Colors is super easy to find. Wet n Wild is super easy to find, and it's super wallet friendly too. And then so, and I'm just kind of setting things aside as I've already listed them off. And And this is the shine powder. My lip color, before I forget to say it, the one that we did choose is the Super Stay Matte Ink Maybelline. This is that raspberry color. And again, it doesn't have a huge dry time. It does dry like super quickly, I would say in, 1 minute, 2 minutes. You don't really have a huge problem. And then again, with color transfer, it really doesn't, like, there's absolutely no color transfer with the liquid lipsticks. Again, I don't think that this is as long lasting as some of the other brands I've tried, but that's really just, it depends on what your day is going to look like. Like I said, this is an end of day. Oh, thank you. The eyeliner is, like I said, I think before, the Milani Stay Put Matte. This is in shade Midnight. This is a navy adjacent blue. And then these are my other lip products that I didn't feature today. So I'm going to set them aside. Hopefully I'll feature them in another video. And what you can do is, if you want to put a gloss on top of a liquid lip, it makes it just super luminescent. And sorry, that was just another brow pencil that is a duplicate of the other one. So the brushes I used were they are not a brush set, so I apologize in advance. They're not all in perfect order. Actually, I could use new brushes, but at the moment I'm doing with what I have. This is my cat's paw one. This is from Ulta. So it's billed as a full coverage concealer brush. This is that cat's paw sort of shape where it's wide and flat. Then this is the standard sort of fluffy eyeshadow brush. This is the one I used for the copper all over eyelid color. This one is sort of a marriage between, this is my contour and bronzer brush. I don't have a lot of bronzer on today, but it would be for both of those. And then what I did is I blended my all over face. I just really went back in and blended with a smaller brush. I feel like that really just covers, by doing small circles, you get a lot of the excess powder off, and you kind of marry all the colors together and you blend really well with that. I feel like that's really something I found a lot of success with. This is what I'd classify as it's not quite kabuki, but it's really round, fluffy, something that I use for base face all over brush. These are my two smaller. I have one angled. I think this one is billed as an eyeliner brush. Today I used it to kind of go back over my eyeliner. And then this one is also either a super small, you can look at it like it's a cat's paw because it's thin and wide, but this is great for cut creases. That's primarily what this brush is. And again, I think that obviously your brush's use is really up to the end user. It's like you get to obviously decide what works best for your face shape. You don't have to buy specific brushes for specific things. And frankly, these are just ones that I've picked up over the years. Some of them came with kits that are like the makeup has expired and I kept the brush because the brush was in good condition. This is a Glam & Beauty brush from, I believe, Ulta. And again, it's sort of a wide, flat one. This one I did use for the concealer under eye. For the concealer area with the lightest foundation, which again was the pale Can't Stop formula. And then, yeah, this is my big fan brush. This one is Eco Beauty. Eco Beauty is from Australia, and I think that you can get them in the drugstores, or at least you could not that long ago. I don't know if they still... I don't really feel like... I'm not a huge highlighter person, like to do a liquid highlight or something like that, but honestly, maybe I will do something. Just here at the tail end for everybody who's still here. Let's see. I think I'm going to do... I like this Shiver Me color. So this is sort of a luminescent pale. Gonna get it on there with my finger. And so highlight, it's sort of a personal preference. You can, some people do their foreheads, a lot of people do the bridge of their nose just to do like super Tinkerbell makeup. Because again, I did my contouring on either side of my nose today, so I look super snatched. And what you can do also is, like, if you take that little bit off between here and here, it gives you that look like your nose is lifted, like just at the end. So unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get the good nose in the family. My sister got the good nose and her daughter has the good nose. I have a bird beak. So sometimes whenever I have the chance to, I'm growing to like my nose. It's a very difficult thing. I love big noses on everybody except me, which is a very strange thing. I try and look at like Barbra Streisand's nose, obviously Lady Gaga's Italian nose, and like, I don't know. Eventually I will make peace with it, but unfortunately I haven't yet. Not in a concrete, like, stay put kind of way. This is the Physicians Formula mascara I used. Like I said before, this is Physicians Formula Lash Mixologist. So the idea is to do length, which is this brush, and then afterwards do volume, which is this brush. Sort of a very definite curvy one, and that way with the first one it's lift and separate, and then this one is you get that bulky, sorry, maybe not bulky, but like your follicles will look wider individually with that second coat. And some people do for a long time, probably too long. I was doing that baby powder trend, but now there's a lot of stuff going around about talc and not putting it that close to your eye. Really, I don't know. I think it was to do with the aluminum content. I could be totally off base with that. This is the e.l.f. setting spray I'm going to use. Again, this is, it does have sort of a dewy finish, so I'm not going to finish super matte, but whatever. And then I apply it liberally, as you can see. And that's just, I don't apply anything conservatively. And yeah, I think that this is not too shabby. I'm actually really happy with it. I really think that the Blue Monday purple blue tone picked everything up. I I have some stuff set aside that I didn't feature today that I'd like to feature in my next video, so hopefully I remember to do that. Again, two of my palettes were Jeffree Star. This is another my Jeffree Star handheld mirror. I don't have a lot in the way of handheld mirrors, and I know right now we are not the biggest collectively. A lot of Jeffree supporters are off the bandwagon. So as much as I don't want to necessarily buy new products, I am trying to use what I have at the moment, and it's really difficult because there are so many different elements of like politics with makeup right now. So somebody who makes spectacular makeup could have, do really bad things that are not makeup related. So right now I'm trying to balance that. I'm trying to be a more educated consumer. I know I've been following a lot more like Nikki tutorials and a lot more like the other girl I like is Riefenstein. She's Jen somebody, and she is let me see. She's Australian, and I think, let me just go really quickly into like regular YouTube. Riefenstein is Rifen. And then if you are looking for her picture, she's got like a pixie cut, and she does a lot of like these big graphic eyeliner looks, which I'm a huge fan of. She kind of falls into the same category, I believe, as me. I think that she's a cisgender woman who also enjoys doing really dramatic drag makeup, which is what I've been accused of. It's doing Snatchral, so it's Snatch Natural. That's also Scott Barnes. And then honestly, I don't really. Do I want to put a wig on? I don't know. I feel so extra that I might just put a wig on. So I'm not going to go far off camera. I'm still going to try and talk in a way that you can hear me. I actually have 2, 3, 4 wigs. They're all for different purposes. One blonde one I have for a cosplay. I have a strawberry one, which is, again, I don't know that I'll keep this on, but I'm gonna grab. So, yep. And now I found my headband. It was underneath my butt. So, headband was on while I did the makeup application. Now you have your quick look for when you're going to the drugstore. This is from Bellamy, and they call their shoppers Bellas. They're high Bellas, just sort of like Charlie's Angels-y. This is not one that I think I'm going to keep on very long. I might make like a couple TikToks in it, but I'm going to, I tend to if I am going to wear them for any length of time, I will glue them down, do the whole 9. This one was I think this one was 16 inches from them, and then I trimmed it a little bit to make it a little bit more natural looking. So I think this is my most worn one. All my wigs I currently own are synthetic, and this one is actually super, super close to what my hair color would be naturally, so that's why I think the irony is top notch. But so I have this. I have a blonde wig that I bought for a Princess Peach cosplay. I have a strawberry blonde, like lighter one that is the same style as this, so long straight. But like there's no root differential, so the strawberry one is just strawberry auburn all the way down. This one has, you can kind of see like the caramel lights in it. And it's this really, I think that this is their chocolate brown at the root. And yeah, I think that kind of does this up for today. Like I said, I'm not going to stay in this all, like, again, it's 7:30. Unfortunately, this is not an all-day scenario. And as you can see, we used, all right, so we didn't use all the lip products, but we used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, no fewer than 16 different formulas, from foundation to eyeshadow to highlight. So yeah, thank you for hanging out with me. If anybody is still here from the very first time we started, thank you for spending 3.5 hours with me just chatting away. I do have a video that will be going live in not that long, which centers around my video will be centering around, it actually talks about Valentine's Day a little bit. It talks a little bit about kind of what I've been going through this week and how I can't believe it's the end of January. It's sort of like just a hang out, chat with me, commentary sort of style of video. And yeah, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I really appreciate everybody who made time. And I will see you hopefully on the next one.